This is CRE Radio and TV. Today we're going to be talking about how the macroeconomy affects real estate with our special guest, Ken Rosen. We'll be right back. You're watching CRE Radio and TV. Today's guest is Ken Rosen. I'm going to have to refer to my little cheat sheet here because Ken has got a very incredible background. Ken is the chairman of Rosen Consulting Group, a real estate market research firm. He is also chairman of the Fisher Center for Real Estate and Urban Economics and professor emeritus at the Haas School of Business at the University of California, Berkeley. He is also a trustee for the Urban Land Institute and a graduate of MIT. Very smart gentleman. Dr. Rosen has over 100 speaking engagements a year and is currently a featured speaker at the Crew Network's National Conference in Miami Beach, Florida from September 30th through October 2nd this year. Dr. Rosen, welcome to CRE Radio and TV. What are you going to be speaking about at the Crew Convention this year?
I think the main focus of my discussion is going to be how the macroeconomy affects the real estate market. And the real estate markets today are almost every market in the country is seeing net leasing, vacancy rates falling, rents rising, and values at near record levels relative to anything we've seen historically. So we really talk about those issues and how we have to prepare ourselves for a different time, which is interest rate normalization, but also I think we're going to see over the next 3 years a ramp up in the development pipeline at the same time that we're seeing interest rates rise. So it's a period of increased risk in real estate. It's not been, the last 3 years have been a period of all the tailwinds are behind us. Now we're going to get some headwinds, and how do you adjust in that environment? How do you advise your clients? Because many people in the business have clients they advise. How do you advise your clients to deal with this? So I'm going to give some tips on how to do that at the speech.
Isn't it confusing? It seems like we've just gotten out of a great recession, so to speak. But in reality, the last 2 or 3 years, as you said, we've had some headwinds. So it's been strong advantage for people with money can invest in real estate. And all of a sudden now we're anticipating breaks. Doesn't it confuse anybody?
I think it really isn't confusing, but it is certainly true. The policymakers in Washington talk about the data is mixed. The data isn't mixed. It's really strong. And I think they're making a mistake thinking the data is mixed. It's a very strong economy, but it is only strong for some people. The top half of the income distribution is doing great. If you happen to be in the energy and technology industry, you're doing really well. But if you're in the government side, and the government side is important, it's been a period of cutbacks and weakness, especially the federal government. The strongest economies today are in energy and tech areas, so San Francisco, Silicon Valley, Texas, North Dakota, Seattle, Denver. The weakest economy of the major economies in the country really is Washington, D.C. We're cutting back the size of government. So it is confusing in that sense. And if you're in the bottom quarter of the income distribution, the Target Walmart economy, it's very weak for you because your skill set doesn't match up with the global skill set that's needed today. So it is confusing in that sense, but I think we have clarity in what the problems are, how to solve them. But with the political structure in Washington, it's hard to get some of that stuff done. I would say easy money is not the solution to many of the problems we have today. It papers over some of the problems and actually makes some of the problems worse. I know that sounds funny, but the reason the income distribution has become more skewed, one of the reasons is that money is so cheap that we have asset value superinflation. The people who control the assets are in the top quarter of the income distribution. So they're benefiting from this asset inflation. The people in the bottom quarter don't own assets, don't own stocks, don't own bonds, and don't own houses. So they're hurting in this environment.
What is top on your radar at the moment?
I think the number one thing to think about these days is that interest rates are abnormally low. And that's led to a boom in real estate valuations. and investments at very low cap rates. And I think interest rates are going to normalize, I think, in the next 3 years. That is, they're going to move up quite a bit from the present level. That's going to create a headwind for real estate investors and developers, and it's going to create a valuation effect that might offset and actually reduce returns or even make negative returns on real estate. So our biggest issue these days is how do interest rates normalize? That's going to be a big part of my talk. How does the macroeconomic environment affect the normalization of interest rates, and what will Janet Yellen do in Washington and the Federal Open Market Committee do?
That was great. You sound like you've done this before.
Well, I do about 100 speeches a year, so it's very exciting. I've done crew before on a local basis, but haven't done the national crew, so I'm very excited to do that. And I know many of my friends from San Francisco will be there, but we'll have people from all around the country who are very active in the real estate industry in various ways.
So, speaking of crew, is there any particular significance or importance that you feel being able to speak at crew?
Well, we have tried very hard to encourage more women in real estate at the highest levels. So about 20% of our Berkeley Real Estate Advisory Board are women professionals in the real estate field. And the student body, we tried very hard to get more students into the field. And I think the classes today are close to 40% women. So we're going to see a lot more women leading real estate companies and being active in the various aspects of the business, from development to brokerage to finance. Of course, there are many women who are ready. So we think this is an important mission to encourage this. And we're delighted in the Bay Area we have succeeded. There are many leaders of the industry who are very active, and so we're very excited about it.
That's very important. Certainly, I feel I'm a strong proponent of diversity, and I'm glad to see many more women.
I think it's not just diversity. The best and brightest people working in the industry is what we want, and they happen to be women. In our firm here, I'd say we have a majority of women working in our firm, and we try to get the best people we can, and who are both articulate but also really smart at the financial side, and really a lot of negotiations involved in real estate where compromise is critical, and sometimes men aren't as good at doing that as women. So there's some basic things that make women maybe better at doing some of the very complicated things that have to be done in real estate.
To register for the Crew Network's annual convention in Miami from September 30th through October 2nd, click on the highlighted link. Remember to support our sponsor, Alan Matkins. Without their considerable support, we wouldn't be able to provide this content to our viewers without charge to the viewers. Alan Matkins is a premier law firm based out of Los Angeles, California. Among the wide variety of practice areas, Alan Matkins is particularly known for its real estate practice. If you would like to know more about the law firm of Alan Matkins, click on the highlighted logo. Also, if you would like to be a sponsor of CRE Radio and have your logo placed behind me on other videos, send an email to sponsor@creradio.com or click on the highlighted link.